we're going to go ahead and get right into our next guest. Helping us to introduce our next guest, you know her from Collider Movie Talk, Perri Nemiroff. How's it going, Perri?
Hello, hello. It's so good to see you, Chuck. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for being here. I know you're dying to talk to these next two guests. Perri,
A little bit.
Little side note for the people who are about to enter into the video. Perri was so excited to do this one. Of all the panels, she said, "This is the one that I want to do." So I said, "Perri, it's all yours." So I'm going to give it to you. Take it away. Have fun.
So I'm not just saying this because I'm here and I'm about to talk about two of the stars on the show. Really, Ash vs. Evil Dead, when I look back on my career, is hands down one of the most, I don't know, just like influential, exciting, the show that I am most, one of the shows that I'm most appreciative to have covered so much. It was such a big deal to me. And part of the reason why that was the case is because the cast and crew behind the show was just such a delight to talk to time and time again. And of course, that group includes Dana DeLorenzo and Ray Santiago, who I can't wait to see right now. I can't wait to get into this conversation. Guys, how are you doing? Let's please welcome Ray and Dana to the chat. Look at that setup.
Hi, guys.
Oh my God.
Morning.
I love it so much, Ray.
Oh, wait. Am I froze? Can you hear me?
We can't see you.
We can't see you, Dana.
You know?
We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Oh,
Your
well,
posters,
you know
Ray,
what?
are
I've
killer
never
right
looked
now.
better. Never looked better. Hold on. Wait. See, technology hates me. Okay, I'll just say, you know what? I think this is the best way to do it. It's like I'm the evil force, and I'll just be the evil commenter. Ray, hold on. Should I okay, technical difficulties. What should we do here?
Get there.
Hold on. I'm gonna like redo all this and see what's, oh, wait. What should I do?
Log off and log back in.
Guys, I'll see you. You have a good interview, Ray. I'll see you in a second.
See you in
We'll be here. We'll be here.
Thank you,
All
Jack.
right.
Hi.
What's up, Ray? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Long time no speak. Right now, like, what are you up to? How are you keeping busy? How are you staying positive? What are you doing to fill the days?
A lot of working out. I created a little like home studio here, so I've been just doing a lot of working out, a lot of running and reading, and just like refocusing. Hi.
I love this reunion right now.
This is
Ray. I haven't seen. Hi, Perri. I miss you. And Ray, I haven't seen you for since New Zealand.
Yeah.
This is a big deal.
Crazy.
I love this. Look at you with your poster. Look at that.
I'm very impressed by the lighting in Ray's room right now too.
I know. It's like that's a dance party.
Oh yeah, you should have seen. This lighting's from my bedroom for sexy time, but I brought it in here because I thought maybe we should just look a little sexy. Look a little sexy.
I mean, we should do it. We should do it. Oh my God, your mustache is gone. I'm just seeing that.
Mustache is gone.
I almost swore. Perri,
Yeah.
Are you as blown away as I am?
I was very surprised when I first saw him. I'm so used to that. And obviously I was rewatching some of the show last night too. So I was just all in that headspace. And now it's so different. Rocking the though.
Yeah. Ray, I think I honestly just have the Ray filter. I think I just in my mind drew it in your face. And then I was like, wait a minute. You look great. Hi, guys.
I feel like every social media app out there does need a Ray on Ash vs. Evil Dead filter. Oh. So it automatically gives you that look.
Oh, but only if it gives you Dana's voice.
Totally down for that.
Done.
I wanted to go back to the very beginning with you guys on this one. In particular, I want to know, do you remember what you had to do to audition for these roles? Because Ash vs. Evil Dead is such a wild show, comedy-wise, blood-wise, special effects-wise. So I can't quite wrap my brain around how they managed to condense what's required of you for these roles into an audition space.
You want to go, Ray?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in the beginning, I think it was just kind of weeding out the people that they really, you know, were interested in, and then they just like put me in a room with Bruce and Sam, and they kind of poked at me for a really long time. They just like kind of like made me do weird things, and you know, I took my shirt off, and they had me like do these weird like little stunts with Bruce, and Sam like did this 360 shot with like his camera. But they just sort of talked to us, and they were like, "Look, you're gonna be tortured. Are you down?" And I was like, "I'm down. I'm ready." Yeah. What about you, Dana?
Yeah, with mine, I for the very first audition, which is just, you know, for people who don't know, it's you and a casting director and a camera. And there was the two scenes that I had as for the audition actually were in the show in the end. It was the scene in the very first scene with Kelly in the value stop. And then there was a scene with Pablo, whose name was what? Paco or something at the time.
Paco.
And then, yes. And then there was this third scene that to try and incorporate exactly what you're talking about. That was very much like the first two scenes were more like a little bit of drama, a little bit of comedy. And then the third scene was like this fake scene that was Pablo and Ash. And when Kelly sort of, and it was never in the show, but she comes in after watching them kill all these, you know, people, and she doesn't understand that they were possessed, you know, because she gets dragged into this, and I'm supposed to start like, oh my God, you just killed all these people, blah blah blah, and then Pablo, this scene, whacks Kelly with a frying pan to knock her out, and then like, you know, Ash had the, you know, button at the end, and so in my audition, I wasn't planning on it, but in the moment I just pratfall, like, how do you, because that's how the scene ended, but there's no other person doing the scene with you, you know? So I just like, just threw myself, like, you know, as I got hit, because I hit myself in the face with a frying pan often. And that's, and the casting director, the next time she's like, by the way, they love that. Will you just keep doing that? And like, the thing is when you're throwing yourself down on a concrete floor and you have no idea what you're doing, I mean, I had some good bruises from it, but I feel like that's exactly like how Ray was saying. And then when you do it, and when we did it with Sam and with Bruce, you know, it was more of the same thing. And then exactly what Ray said, you know, Sam asked me, it's on tape somewhere, where he's like, are you going to be, if you get this, you know, Kelly is going to be possessed. Are you okay with that? And it was a dream of mine. So I immediately was like, yes, like I was a little bit too excited. And I think that helped, or I don't know.
I think it has to in this situation. It seems like even just in the audition time, you guys were game to do anything. But in season 1 in particular, was there any moment where you were kind of standing there on set and thinking to yourself, like, what did I just get myself into? Maybe they're pushing this too far for me.
Every day. Ray and I, Ray, I mean, I was just thinking of, because I haven't thought about this in a minute. It's been a while since we've actually, you know, even had to do one of these. And Ray, I was just thinking of like, you know, the shotgun scene day and your hair on electrocution day with the smoke in your hair. And then I was
thinking about the connecting. We had to, there was like this thing.
Let's do it.
This hand that came out of like her mouth and like grabs me by the neck, and the only way to do it was without like anything there, so it was just the both of us like looking into each other's eyes and going like, me getting choked and her mouth open,
and we were going oh, because it had to like grab his face, if you remember. So I was like things coming out of my mouth,
but it looked great.
But then, right, it looked great in the end. But Ray, the way we were actually filming it, right? Do you remember we were like, oh, and we're like, what the hell are we doing?
I mean, I had a day where I had like, you know, these the Ruby's babies come out of my mouth in a dungeon, you know, like all tied up with no face, and you know, so I didn't really realize that was just the beginning of like them torturing me, but it was fun.
Yeah, like I think it was the first time you do it, like, you know, when I actually thought they were feeding me, or they'd use real leeches, and I thought the Brujo. I thought they didn't switch out the bowl, and then my fake teeth kept popping out, and there was like always crazy stuff. But I think Ray and I would have these moments, especially if we were shooting stuff separately, where we would come together, and it was just really nice to have somebody that was in the same exact boat that we were like, this is awesome, but let's do our thing. Let's do our thing, right? We have Kelly and Pablo have 2 expressions that were in every script, and this is what we would go up to each other and say.
Wait. How's it? I'm blanking right now. It's how's it? How's it? Wait, how you holding up?
And I'd go, what is happening? Because they would always say that to each other. Conveniently, those worked even today in real life. How you holding up? What is happening?
I feel
that's
like
what I texted her when I
how they're holding up. Expect them to say that line back, and it's not going to happen.
Wait, Ray, what?
That's what I texted Dana a couple weeks ago. I was like, how you holding up? And she was like,
and I go, what is happening?
I should have started the panel that way. This is a very clearly one of a kind, unique show. But is there anything you learned during the process of making this that has surprisingly come in handy on the future projects that you guys wound up doing?
How to hit your mark.
No, it's just
I mean, I think I'm still working on it.
I mean, yeah, me too. I feel like, I've learned what has come in handy. You know, I feel like not hitting other people on when you're doing a stunt, and it came in handy, because I'll tell you, all it takes is one time to accidentally hit Lucy Lawless in the face with the broom, and you learn real quick to be like, okay, I'm not going to get that into it when I'm shooting a scene. You really have to, like, because, you know, it's easy to, like, just, you've done all the work and you're like, ah! And I will never forget, I almost broke Lucy Flawless's face. Like, Lucy Flawless. And that's what she is. I wept. I cried. And she was like, I'm fine, man. I'm like, ah. So I feel like that's a good
I think
thing.
anyone would have had that reaction to almost smacking her in the face with a broom. What would I say is the set piece that took you the longest to nail? Did any of them make you think, like, I can't believe we're still here filming this right now?
Yeah. I mean, for me, it was really, I still just go back to, just because it was the first time. And it turns out to be one of the greatest scenes. I think that's another thing I've learned, actually, I'll add. The things that are the hardest are always the most rewarding in the end and look the coolest. But right, I just keep going back to that shotgun scene, because we went back to that. Oh, that was
right.
Because there were,
every season there was sort of like that one scene that we had to keep going back to, and it was kind of tough because you would, move on to another episode, and then they would say, "Hey, we got to go back." And so, I mean, I was covered in tattoos for a very, very long time, and I think that the scene where Pablo was cut in half, everybody was gone, and there would just be days where I was there somehow, some way, with like the doubles and the stuntman, and there I was, still in my deathbed, waiting to be sliced in half. But again, when it goes away and the job ends, you suddenly just like, you go back and you're like, oh, what I would do to hear the knock on the trailer right now when they're coming to get you.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm like, what I wouldn't do to have hypothermia, being covered in blood with an industrial fan and wind and leaves, and like getting electrocuted and all the things that breaking a rib, and like you miss it. But especially with something like this, I feel like, that was such an experience, and it wasn't, a massive cast, and I miss our little unit. I miss our little dysfunctional family. And I do miss Ray, and his every day he would do something so funny, or like just try it. Like every day he was coming out of his trailer with something new. Every time it was a thing. Then like the dummies, or the the Shemp, the Deadite dummies, it was an entertainment. It was a show within a show.
It's a show that's part of one of the most iconic horror franchises of all time, and the benefit of that is it will never go away. Like, you guys are doing these conventions forever and ever and ever. And also this show has such a hardcore dedicated fan base. So I do have a semi-serious question for you guys now. What do you think could have changed the fate of the show? Because it obviously wasn't a quality issue. The show every single season would amaze me with how it raised the bar higher and higher and higher. So what do you think it was that needed to change in order to make sure this great material found a bigger audience?
Well, that's exactly it. I'm going to jump right on that. I love the home that we had on Stars, but it was so limited in its viewership. You know, if you didn't want to subscribe to the network, then, you know, we could have had a bigger audience were we on a platform like even Hulu or Amazon or Netflix. But because we were on this like cable subscription, it really limited the audience, because as the show got onto Netflix, we started to see that people were, you know, still watching like season 1 through 3 and like really into it. So it was kind of sad because we did this greatness, and it didn't get the praise that it should have gotten. And personally, I was really looking forward to seeing where things were going to go with the show, just because we had set up so many relationships. It was just all there to play with. So, you know.
Well, I say never, because the way things are going, you know, I've been reading all these very terrifying things about, you know, our industry and just, you know, with productions and things are just being shelved and whatnot. So I honestly feel like, you know, never say never. There have been, you know, shows where they're canceled, but then they get picked up by another network. So I know Bruce has said he's in retirement, but I feel like Ray and I could convince him. Don't you, Ray?
Yeah, totally.
I feel like we could convince him to come back.
I think enough time has passed by.
Yeah,
he just needs a
exactly.
good couple of, you know, like 1 or 2 years of just like chilling in the woods and not having the boomstick in his hand, and then like he starts to crave it, and it'll come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would believe it. I just saw a chat pop up. I believe her name was Cindy, but she had put Shudder in her comment, and that sounds like a great home for something like this, especially with all the original productions that Shudder is getting off the ground right now. It's a great place to go stream some horror content if someone out there isn't already subscribed. Do you guys know what would have been in store for your characters if the show did venture into this Mad Max-ish world?
No, I don't.
I mean, there was one day where Rob came out of a meeting and he was like, we were just discussing ideas for season 4 and your name came up and we were thinking of putting you in a glass jar and it would just be your head. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. By the way, I happen to like you guys. I love you guys, but nobody told me what was happening on the top of my head. Like, you know, when you like see
on the top of your head.
I looked at a photo from like being at like the first Comic-Con or like any of the photos from the entire show. That flat top, like. It's like, you know, when you look at your high school photo, your prom photo, and you're like, what was I thinking? Dude, it was too much. It was Marge Simpson.
I will tell you, I mean, Ray, I sat next to you in the makeup chair. That was your 45 minutes in the chair, was your hair. I mean, Ray, like it was a band name, and then if one curl was out of place, it was like a singer. I mean, and you were really into it, and it worked. I feel like it was
I know. Oh, I know. I mean, and it was great. I just like had a moment where I saw photos and I was like, whoa, like it was really big. And I remember one day in New Zealand, I was out at a bar and I was in line for the bathroom and somebody just turned to me and said, get a haircut. And I was just like, what? Why? And so yeah, I'm really bummed that like at the start of the quarantine, I didn't just take the you know, take it all off.
Like Uncle Bruce did. Bruce Campbell did.
Yeah, and Bruce.
But yeah, well, at least we now know if there is a season 4, that's already a storyline for Pablo. He has shaved off his mustache. He has cut his hair.
Good luck.
By the way, that's like that's the shorter version. Like you had it.
Yeah.
It was like really. I actually was jealous. All I wanted was bigger hair. I kept trying to get it like as big as that. We had the hair. It was great.
They are both iconic looks, though, because I feel like that's the important thing with this franchise too. You've had people for decades dressing up as Ash, and your looks in this show calls for the exact same thing. So you gotta embrace that look.
Yeah,
for sure.
Dana, your wardrobe on the show was pitch perfect too. Did you get to keep anything now that it's all wrapped up?
I did, but I found out because I will say, Barbara, I miss our wardrobe department. We were so close with those awesome ladies, and so much work goes into all, like not just our show, but every show. Honestly, I wrote a whole article about it for iHorror. I called "It Takes a Village to Raise a Strong Female Character," and there's so many unsung heroes. I just want to that I'm concerned with now because like everybody's out of work, you know. But with Barbara, from the start, we were just on the same page, and she was so collaborative about like Kelly's rock and roll vibe, and she would literally cut the T-shirts on me as if because we had come up with like the Kelly. Just she's makes her own. She's quick with thinking on her feet and turning anything into a weapon. Well, she just cuts her clothes and makes her own stuff. So all of those purple leather jackets, I mean, they were custom made. People were like hand dyeing them, and so much work went into it. But here's the funny thing. So when we found out we were not going to probably be coming back or whatever, there was all of those clothes. Because like Ray and I, and especially like, well, Bruce's is easy because he has the same look. So one day I got to see, it was a rack of 100 blue shirts, followed by another rack of 100 of those khaki pants. But Ray and I got to have our hero outfits. Like he was always in some form of green, right, Ray? And I was always in purple. And so but also I'm very nostalgic. So here's what I found out. They auctioned off, actually, I think it was you, Ray, who told me when the show got canceled, they auctioned off like the stuff that they still had.
Yeah.
And I met someone at a convention who was doing a Kelly cosplay who she's like, I have your pants, I'm wearing your shirt, and I'm wearing a jacket. And I'm like, because there were multiples, right? No, I thought I had the number one, which is your main, the one that really you just wear. And then there's like, no, I have this stunt, Kelly. I have this stunt. I think it's so funny that people out there have the actual number one. I'm like, I laugh about it. It makes me happy. It makes me happy. But it is funny to
know that happened. Otherwise, I would own some piece of that show. And I already have too many props as it is.
Oh, I think it's still out there. I think they're still out there. But look, watch out for knockoffs because there's knockoffs of Pablo and Kelly stuff everywhere.
You got to
know
sure
that they sign the tag. They sign they'll say our names in the tag. You can look it up.
You know I'm going to Google this after. A very broad question for you, but an important one to ask for this particular show. What was your absolute favorite set piece, blood gore scene from start to finish?
Favorite to film or favorite to watch?
I will let you go one way or the other with it.
Oh, man.
It's not an easy one to answer because there's so many.
Okay, I'll say this. Favorite set that they created, other than, I mean, the Airstream was phenomenal, but like the set piece was season 2 when they did the bar, like where it was, Lucy and Lee Majors. I just like the details that were in that. It was just like, I mean, we were shooting in Michigan, in New Zealand, and it looked like Michigan. I would say, the favorite, I just got to go with the season 2 opener only because there was so much blood. There were like 1,000 gallons of blood. And Ray, I was looking this up because I'm like, I remember I had, I've told the story before. I asked how much blood I was getting on me just for ripping the barman's arms off, and it was 26 gallons just on me. But I forgot about this, right? When it was Yumi and Bruce, like it was a different shoot day, but still in the same thing. Doesn't matter. We each had to stand on, they put like a little tarp and they had to individually blast us with the blood cannon. And for you and I, which we were covered, and we have a photo of like high-fiving,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't, because of course, Perri, as we've probably talked about with you, there's never enough blood. They never say, no, that's good, that's enough, ever. They're always like, more blood, more blood. We're like, there's maybe the white of your eye is not covered. So I looked this up, Ray. They did not think we had enough, and so they took buckets and just dumped them, not over Bruce's, but just yours and my head.
Mm.
And like his hair did kind of
Just-
still set. It still
stayed a little bit, but
it was like an ice cream cone that you dip, and then like it just went around the
Yeah.
sides. It was a thing of beauty. It was a thing. So that was I would just have to say that whole experience, in that bar scene and all of it. I that's my fave. What about you, Ray?
So I would say that for me, you know, at the time, I think I always used to vocalize how much I hated this, like this part, but like we were in that delta for like a good portion
Sure.
of the show. And you
Yeah.
know, like never in my life had I worked on a show before where I spent so much time in a car. So now when I watch stuff, I'm always like, that rear projection sucks, number one. And number two, like they're not moving and there's a lot of scenes in the car. But it was the time of the day where Dana and I and Bruce were trapped in a car. And initially I was always sort of like, I didn't really know what to say to Bruce because I had just like met him and whatnot. And you know, Miss Dana, she couldn't stop talking. She just talk. And it just became this moment where I just like felt like I was like really with like my sister and my dad in this car. And for some reason, I just like remembered that so much, every scene in the car. So for me, something that was not my favorite at the time, as time has passed on, I'm like, God, that really was so great because, you know, we just talked about the most random shit while people were moving, you know, heaven and hell around us. You know, Bruce would sing and I would be crying in the corner because I was thinking about tortured Pablo and the scene we were about to do. And but I would say that car was number one for me. And then I would say for me, like the Brujo Especial episode and that whole thing and all of that was pretty great. You know, I tried to like cut some scenes out of the show for my reel, and it's really hard to find things that are usable because everything is just ridiculousness. There's not like a nice moment where you're being real with someone. It's just
I think
madness.
there are, Ray. I think there are nice moments with Pablo and Kelly.
For
You
sure.
just gotta find them. They're like, you know, right? It's about it. I'll tell you which ones because I had to do some. They're about 30 seconds. Right before Deadite Mrs. Johnson comes, or right before Peppy comes and starts, you know, pouncing. So, I think, but that Delta, Ray, it got really bad when you would like, remember when you it would be after lunch and you would burp so loud, and I would like, it was you're right, it was like a brother, and it was like a brother and an uncle for me. It was honestly, and I would be like, Ray, and he's like, what? Sorry, I can't be bloated I can't be bloated when I'm dead or something. You would say. It was great.
I will say though, the one thing that was part of our show that really most people may not know that I missed the most, and in this time, I wish I was there, is New Zealand. Like
I mean, amen.
I was the one that was like, I don't want to go home. I want to stay here. I want to stay here. Yeah. And I still talk to a lot of the crew, and you know, I miss making this show and what we did, and so it's just yeah.
I know, Ray. Yeah. I was thinking that we were always there at this time. We were always there because it changed slightly, but we were always there in April and May and pretty much usually June. And I'm with Ray. Like that was like an added bonus that we could go on and on about how amazing that family is over there and how incredible just being there was. But not only that, I'm one day away from being an expat and moving there because you know why? New Zealand eradicated that COVID.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm like, because it's the best place on earth. So, but don't tell anybody because I don't want everyone to move there. We'll go there. So let's go there. How about Ray and I? Ray, you and I can go and we'll film the Kelly and Pablo spinoff and we'll do it COVID safe with like our phones and we'll go on Shudder Look at we're Perri.
We've
you're
got
making
a
it happen.
plan. And then just
making it happen.
save some sort of prop for me so I can add it to the collection in the end.
Perri, I'll give you
We'll
something.
bring
you know
you.
what, Perri?
We're bringing you to set. We're bringing
Oh,
you to set.
I'm going in a heartbeat.
It's probably still there, right? You know, Rob Tapper and Lucy Lawless, you know, live there. That's why I bet you it's there. They still have that sound stage with stuff in it. I'm sure.
There's
I'll
a
get
new
you either
soundstage in Auckland, guys.
Oh my God, it's perfect.
I just read it. It's the only thing that Rob Tapper tweeted in like the last couple of months. He like tweeted something about a new soundstage.
That's not Rob Tapper. That's his assistant anyway. I asked.
I'm so sad to do this, but we're getting the wrap up right. I could talk to you guys. You already know this. I could talk to you for hours about this show.
Well, and Perri, you were our first. I mean, Perri, we have a very special place in my heart for you, as you know how much I love you. But it was our first interview at New York Comic Con.
It was
in that room, and it was. I remember just like looking around, being like, "What the hell? What are we doing?" Because it was anyway. So you were such a good first interview. It was because I was very nervous, but it was so much fun. So I love that this whole little gang is back together.
I am so happy this happened. Hurry up and get back, whether it's virtual or in person. Stay on that con circuit. The horror community is very special, and that community loves you guys and loves this show. And I can guarantee you, if there ever is an opportunity to bring you guys back for more Evil Dead in the future, that community is going to get super loud and back you up every step of the way. So Ray, Dana, so good to see you. A big thank you for being here today and celebrating the show on Mainframe Comic-Con. I am going to let you guys go and tell everybody out there to stay tuned. We're going to have a word from our sponsors, and then we're going to be back with more conversations.